Hello there, Internet. How's it going? Welcome back to the show. My name is Pat Dan, and today I have a very important announcement to make. This is huge, you guys. This is perhaps life changing. This is going to change the way you think of me for all time. You'll never look at me the same, and I don't apologize for that. To tell you the truth, okay. I just want you guys to know I'm officially bald, and now you may be thinking this isn't that crazy. I didn't know what you looked at before. Uh, so why should I care that you're bald now? But what you should care about is, I think, the message behind this baldness. Okay. Now let me preface. I began a long-haired man. I really did have I really did have luscious locks. I know you guys can't see me. I know you guys can't see me, and that may be an issue for you in visualization. So I'm gonna give you a visual aid here, okay? We're gonna try and illustrate this point to you via the Drawception sandbox, as it is called. So I began my life, my career, my long-standing streaming uh, quest is the word I was looking for there. As but a wee lad, okay, and but a wee lad, I mean, like, I don't know, like a couple years ago or something. And as this lad, I was known exclusively by the length of my hair. The length of my hair was pretty much my entire identity, has been, for the past few years, for the amount of time I've had it long. And anytime anyone sees me, that's what they call out. They're like, "Oh, dude, your hair is so awesome. Like, I wish I had hair like yours." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks, bro. Appreciate it." It's pretty much my only sense of self-worth. It's the only thing I really ever get complimented on, or have gotten complimented on in the past. And I had this long, flowing. Actually, this looks pretty good. I'm not even gonna lie. This is pretty much what I look like. Um, I had this long, flowing set of locks here, and I was really relying on that to get by, I think, in my day to day. And that is kind of what I have been basing my entire identity off of, for the past couple of years. Now, however, I've gone the way of, every reptile in existence. The dinosaurs were bald, the lizards, they're bald, the snakes are bald. I am also bald. So we've gone kind of together in a sense in that way. And then, I mean, I've also, much like our great dear Lord Peggy, JPEG Mafia, Bald King, the guy, he's bald. He made an album about it. He's very vocal about it. And I feel like I've fallen a little bit into his footsteps. Also, Northern Lion, maybe kind of the main reason why I shaved my head. I wanted to look more like him. Nowadays, I'll show you. This is a recent development, by the way. I was shaved my head yesterday, so I've been 1 day bald. I feel exactly the same, to tell you the truth. Nothing's changed, and that's kind of the reason I did it. Now, for a lot of people, I think if your long hair is the center of yourself and who you think you are, and it kind of or not even long hair, but just a singular trait that you feel defines you, that when everyone sees you, they point it out, and you feel proud of it. You feel happy with the way people look at you and the way you're perceived. That's all the more reason to change it, I think. Obviously, while it's there, bask in it, enjoy it. No reason to not enjoy yourself while you have the opportunity. But life changes, people change, times change. And in conjunction with that, I think you shouldn't be afraid for your appearance to change. Um, and if you get too comfortable looking a certain way, feeling a certain way, I think it's very easy to forget, that everyone's a person, that you're a person, that you have the opportunity to do whatever you want, and you don't have to be the way people perceive you, because there comes comes a certain sense of obligation with reputation, where you feel like you have to act the way people expect you to act when they have a specific vision of you. Um, and in some cases, it may be something as simple as hair. In others, it may be something more complex. But we're gonna use hair as an example here, because this is what this is where I can speak on. And I feel like my hair was a piece of me. It was a thing people identified me by, and I identified myself by it as well. And I couldn't really imagine myself without it. And for a long time, I did kind of have the idea. As soon as I started growing out my hair, I was like, okay, the reason I'm growing it out is to one day do the great transition and just chop it all off, and shock the world with my change. But the longer I got comfortable with it, I was like, okay, this is kind of me. Like, I don't feel like I can change it and live that way. But I kind of just had the thought, today's the day, and just jumped for it and did it, and I feel like it was the right choice. There's an artist, Breakins, who I listen to, who also had this stark transition from long hair. He had this long, luscious mane, much like and I'm sure he got a lot of compliments on it. I mean, it looks great. I'm sure he felt very happy with himself, and I'm sure it made him feel good to look so good. And then he shaved it all off, much in the same vein. And I think there's something really beautiful about that. I think that's kind of an awesome thing. And more so than the shaving itself, I think the way in which you present the shaving is just as important, because you could kind of use it as a talking piece and say, oh, this is like this is like this is just like for an Instagram post, or like for a YouTube video or something. Like, I'm gonna do this, like, if I get a certain, like Ludwig does this all the time, or he has done this at least twice, that I know of, where he's like, okay, if you guys do this amount of donations or whatever for this charity, I will shave my head. And it becomes this public event, where you're doing it for the sake of the content, or for the sake of what other people think of you, and not for the sake of yourself. When it's a very, very personal kind of decision, despite the fact, hair grows back. In my case, I'm not balding it or anything, so I have the chance to get it back, and I just wanted to, feel out the space. And so it's not a huge change, it's not a big decision, but it's big enough to where, if it matters to you, you do want to kind of keep it to yourself. And for me, that comes in the form of, like, I don't have social media, like, if I was to shave my head and I had a personal social media account, that's pretty much probably all I would be posting about for the next week, right? As anyone would, I would imagine. And I would kind of be doing it almost not entirely for myself, but for the validation of others, the likes on my story, the views on my posts, whatever it may be. And you kind of lose a little bit of the meaning behind it, at a certain point, when, to me, going bald was a declaration of, I can still be me without the things, the cosmetic things that surround my person, my hair, my teeth, my nose doesn't make me who I am. It's the the internal, mental, emotional things that I've developed over the course of my life that make me uniquely me. And I can still be those things. More like, it wasn't a proof to anyone else. It was more of a proof to myself, because that's what I needed. Um, and not to say everyone needs that. You know, you can go bald and post it all you want, if that's what you want to do. But there are definitely some cases where I think if you do things and make it a public event, make it like a, hey, come look at me, I'm doing this thing, and there's a purpose behind it, you want to get something out of it, chances are you probably won't get that thing that you were looking for if you publicize it like that. Um, just because it changes the way you look at it, and it makes it more about opinions of others and things like that rather than the impact that it has on yourself. Um, so luckily for me, I didn't even have the opportunity to post about it or anything, and it's just a me thing. And the fact that I'm making a big deal out of it now almost defeats the purpose, but I felt like it was a fun little thing to talk about. Um, and I feel like it really, the awesome thing about it, I feel like in a world nowadays where we live with the idea that everyone cares so much about appearance and the way you look is everything, and you think everyone's judging you all the time, or at least, you know, I've definitely seen people have this kind of fear, and I have had it, where everywhere you go you're afraid of what people think of you. And that's just kind of the way it goes. You know, we've been conditioned to think that way because of social media and because of the impact it has on our psyche a little bit. So I don't blame any one person for that. I don't blame you if you feel that way, because I feel that way sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with it. But there's there are actions you can take to kind of remind yourself people don't care. And shaving your head is one of them, because you'll think, "Oh my goodness, I look so crazy, like everyone's going to think I'm insane, like I can't walk outside like this, like they're gonna look at me and think, oh my goodness, that guy's a freak." But then when you see people like outside, they don't even know that you weren't bald before, which is like like it sounds stupid to say, but you don't really think about that in the moment, and then you experience it and you're like, wait a minute, no one actually like can know if something's changed about me unless I tell it to them. And in the end, it doesn't really matter, because the way I present myself to them is the way they're going to think of me, regardless of the way I look. And that's true whether you're bald or not. That's just simply a fact of life, and I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. It's a good lesson to learn, and I'm kind of, it's something that I think about quite often, because I feel in Gen Z, my generation, this whole generation of mine, it's kind of a pressing issue, not necessarily more so than in previous generations, but it's more clear, because of social media. You can like very visibly see it happening, and that, you know, uh, it makes it a lot sadder to see when you know that it's happening. Like if you know, if somebody is being killed, or like if something bad's happening, I don't know why I use somebody being killed as an example. That's like the worst thing that I can come think of. But if something bad's happening and you don't know about it, you're not going to do anything to fix it. You know, you're not going to think about it, and you're not going to try and change yourself to fix the issue that exists within you if it does. But if something bad's happening and it's publicized all over, you can see it happening to everyone around you, you're probably going to go out of your way to make a change. So that's kind of the position I find myself in here today. In any case, you know, I just kind of wanted to speak on that a little bit, give a little insight into my alteration of hairstyle. Um, I doubt that anyone finds themselves in the exact same position as I did, um, when making this decision. Which, not, I wasn't in a bad spot. I wasn't in a bad headspace or anything, but I was in fact in the greatest headspace of my life, and I and when things are too good, that's kind of a sign to myself when I'm like, okay, I have to make some kind of change. I have to challenge myself because the world isn't doing it right now. Um, and if I'm happy where I'm at, I'll stagnate. Nothing will change. I won't improve, and that's not what I want. I want to be constantly improving throughout my life. I want to be um, better and better with each iteration of myself, with each generation of Pat Dan draws. I want to improve. So that's kind of a contributing factor as well to just throwing myself curveballs at times and letting letting myself kind of make rash decisions just for the sake of making rash decisions to see how I can deal with them, because it's a crazy world out there, and if you're not prepared to handle it when it comes for you, I think it can throw a wrench in the works. So it's almost like a vaccine that um, puts a little bit of the virus inside you so that you can develop the antibodies. Like, I don't know if that's actually how vaccines work, but I've heard people say that, and I assume that they're not lying to me, and that they know more than me, which usually people do. So that's kind of just something I take at face value whenever anyone says it. But feel free to correct me in the comments, if I'm wrong, which wouldn't be the first time. I'm not the smartest guy, but I know enough to get by for sure. I can get by. I think I could I could pass the vast majority of finals if I needed to. Enough to 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 get like general ed stuff done for sure. I think that much is at least the case for me. I could say that with relative certainty. Um, but that's pretty much all I had to say. I wanted to get a quick video out, um, and I wanted to, see if I could play with form a little bit. Just get something down and put it out into the ether. Anyways, thank you guys so much for your time. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for your time. Uh, I've been Pat, and you've been great. And until next time, kick rocks, pal. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.